Is that better? Okay. Sorry about that. Hello, everybody. Today we are going to review the movie Jonah Hex. This movie is, I guess, 11 years old now because we're into 2021, aren't we? I keep still wanting to say 2020, but I guess we're still in the first month, so sorry if I make that mistake in a few of my videos, but yeah, we are into the new year now. 6 days or 7 days into it now? 6 days, I do believe. Here, let me check my phone. Yes, January 6th, 6 days into it. Anyhow, Jonah Hex. So I hadn't seen this movie probably in about 11 years, I would say. And I kind of forgot the entire storyline, to be completely honest, because at the beginning of the movie, I didn't even remember that he was fighting in the Civil War. He was fighting for the South. He betrays his superior officer, Quentin Turnbull, and I guess in some sort of exchange, kills Quentin Turnbull's son. So, as revenge for Jonah Hex killing Quentin Turnbull's son, he decides that it's a good idea to murder Jonah Hex's family and make him watch. He then brands him on the face to remind him of what happened that day and the man who did it. So basically, Jonah Hex's mission now, after he hangs on the cross for 3 days, that Quentin Turnbull put him on, a native tribe ends up saving him and nursing him back to health the best that they could. And then he goes on his mission to basically hunt down Quentin Turnbull and get his revenge again. So it's kind of like a back and forth in this movie, really. But yeah, I guess it was kind of like an eye for an eye, and then another situation where it was like an eye for an eye. You kill my son, I kill your family. You kill my family, I'm going to kill you. But anyhow, the animation at the beginning when Jonah Hex is describing his story, when he's hunting down Quentin Turnbull, eventually Quentin Turnbull dies in a bar fire, I believe it was. Or barn fire or hotel, I can't really remember. Or at least that's what Jonah Hex thinks until he finds out, I don't know how many, whether it was years later or months later, it must have been years later, that Jonah Hex, or that Quentin Turnbull is still alive. And so obviously he goes after him again, but it's I believe it was the North that was getting Jonah Hex to help them take down Quentin Turnbull, because now Quentin Turnbull is creating a weapon of mass destruction, and they obviously don't want that in his hands, because with that he would be able to wipe out most of the United States. And yeah, that would not be good for anybody, because then he would have control over, yeah, the entirety of the United States. And obviously, everybody knows what happens. The South lost the Civil War, and we wouldn't be where we are today if that didn't happen. I don't know how different it would be today in the States, but probably a hell of a lot different than it is right now. I mean, I know there's some crazy stuff happening down there right now, but we're not going to talk about that because this is just a review of a movie. But anyhow, so Jonah Hex knows this girl named Lila. She obviously works as a, I don't know what they really called them back then, whether they just called them prostitutes or like ladies of the night or whatever they called them in the Wild Wild West. But Lila is played, I believe it was Lila. Lila is played by Megan Fox. Let me just double check that, because I'm pretty sure it was Lila. Anyhow, played by Megan Fox. And honestly, I think that Megan Fox might have found her calling in Western movies. I know she did the Transformers series, and she did well with the Ninja Turtles. Hold on, I'm looking up the wrong thing here. Just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, yeah, Lila. So, he knows this girl named Lila. They obviously have some sort of personal connection because it seems like they are definitely in love with one another. It seems that he's kind of found his new new potential. I don't really want to say wife, but anyway, they are in love for sure. There is a connection there of that because he doesn't treat her like the rest of them do as like an object, I suppose. He actually wants to be with her, and he cares about her because he does almost sacrifice himself at the end of the movie just to save her. So, and she wants to get away with him, but he obviously doesn't want to just run. He wants to face Quentin Turnbull before he decides to leave and go on his own path with her. So that's what he does. And fortunately, he is able to save the day and stop Quentin Turnbull from completely destroying Washington, because that's what Quentin Turnbull's main objective was to destroy Washington. But it seems that Jonah Hex is just a thorn in his side everywhere he goes, because Jonah Hex is able to find his compound, and Quentin Turnbull's main assassin, or hired help, I guess, is Irish, and his name is Burke, and he ends up almost killing Jonah Hex again at the first compound they're at, where they are slowly creating the weapon. Sorry, I got an itch behind my ear. And so Jonah Hex rides his horse all through the night and ends up, I'm assuming, at the same native camp that helped him the very first time. So they again nurse him back to health, and this is probably one of my favorite scenes because he's having flashes of his vengeance against Quentin Turnbull, and I guess his he has one special ability where he can talk to the dead because of almost having a near-death experience himself. So then the second time you see the crow's eye come out, and I guess crows is kind of like a connection to death maybe for him. I'm not really sure. Or they're just a sign of death maybe. Anyway, you see the crow fly out of his mouth and his eyes are all yellow when he's being nursed back to health, and then he just gets up and screams Turnbull and starts to go after him again for a second time. And this time he's successful in killing Quentin Turnbull and blowing up his ship, and so Washington is saved, and the South has officially lost because I guess Quentin Turnbull was the main enemy of the North. So, then Jonah Hex is talking to the President of the United States at the end of the movie, and he says to Jonah Hex that he thinks that the United States as a whole needs a sheriff, and Jonah Hex tells him countries don't have sheriffs, but if you ever need me, you know you can find me. And then at the end, him and Lila ride off into the sunset together, which is kind of what I predicted would happen anyway, because obviously the two of them seemed like kind of the perfect couple, even though there is quite a bit of an age difference between them. I'm not really sure what age she was supposed to be in this movie, but yeah, Josh Brolin was the one who played Jonah Hex, and John Malkovich, I believe is how you pronounce his name, played Quentin Turnbull, and he seems to just fit this role quite well, because he also played Savage in the Johnny English movie, so he kind of plays the role really well of where he just wants to take over an entire country, I guess. He seems to play the evil mastermind fairly well. He fits that role. I know he's played a good guy in certain movies too, and he definitely can make that transition, but this role fits him very well. And I would also say that the Western Megan Fox should do more Westerns, because she actually, I would say this is probably one of her best movies that she's... I know she wasn't the main part of it, but she was definitely a good... I don't know, what would you call that, co-actor? or she wasn't really a secondary character, but her and Josh Brolin worked really well together, I would say, in this movie. And the action sequences were kind of like comic book like, I would say. I just wanted to touch on this really quickly. Were kind of comic book like, and they were shot really quickly and chaotically, which worked great for this movie. Just because it is based on, I believe it is based on a graphic novel, and there is a little animated TV series that I'm going to look into getting here in the future, and maybe do a review of that, because I just saw that in the previews for this movie, so I'm kind of interested in watching that and doing that. So hopefully I can get my hands on that somewhere when all this craziness of the start of 2021 is over, and we're not in lockdown, and hopefully everybody gets vaccinated and we could go back to normal living, which would be nice, because 2020 was kind of, everybody seemed to want to be, well, it wasn't that everybody wanted to be, but everybody had to be sheltered. And yeah, it was kind of a quiet year, 2020, for the most part anyway, for me, anyhow, because usually I would like to be doing stuff in the summer. But anyhow, I believe I've touched on everything in this movie. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10. Excellent action movie. And it actually was touched on history a little bit, which was nice. Because, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, there was no truth to the story. Or who knows, there might have been some truth to the story. I don't think it was based on any true stories, though. I'd have to look that up. But obviously, the Jonah Hex part wasn't true, because he was just a fictional character. But I don't know, there could have been somebody trying to create a mass weapon back in the Civil War that nobody knew about. I don't know. Maybe that was something that was just covered up. But I guess I'll have to look into that a little bit more to see if there was any truth to that, because that was kind of an interesting concept to base a movie around anyway, or a graphic novel for that matter. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for this movie. Would really like to see Megan Fox in more Western movies, to be honest. And if she has been, please comment down below if she has been, because I would like to review those, because I know Megan Fox gets a lot of flack for her acting skills, but I think she's good, and she definitely shined in this movie as far as I was concerned. I mean, they all did. They all worked really well together. They all had great chemistry. So yeah, kudos to all the actors in this movie, and please like, share, and subscribe, and yeah, I think I said comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. If you haven't, please go watch it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.